He's not here, so we can sing. We can sing all day. Well, we could. But we won't sing all day because we have questions to answer. And also because if you would all like to pay close attention to the sacred crest of the independent sovereign nation of PimBartia, you will see there that there are several things to take note of. First of all, on the sacred blue garter there, it says "Et commodite carnes," which means eat meat. It also says "Et non cantare," which means no singing. So it does. And down the bottom there, you'll see that it says "Omnes siadori divent," which means everybody must worship the bear. Isn't that a good idea? Isn't that a good idea? Cedric McTed, do you think that everybody should worship the bear? I don't know why I ask him. I really don't. It's one of those things, I guess. Anyway, welcome one and all to the independent sovereign nation of PimBartia, where it's my solemn duty today to deal with your questions as best as I possibly can, and stuff like that. And also to probably sing a tune or two just because we can. All right, question number 1 from David Kemp. Good to hear from you, David. I hope things are going well up there on the other side of the planet. Hey, what products would you give to a person in their 70s who's at a later stage of Parkinson's disease, dosages, etc., in terms of the Cyactive, the Plasma Flow, the Stem Enhance Ultra? Well, we kind of have a mantra, David, in the Cerule business, where what we say is a person who is otherwise fit and healthy with no obvious signs of problems, that the label dosage is probably adequate to assist in the maintenance of that situation. If, however, a person has some, let's say, mild issues, 1 or 2 problems, then we would suggest perhaps a doubling. And if they're moderately unwell, perhaps we'd double that again. And someone who's in a real pickle, you would probably go as high as 16 a day of Stem Enhance Ultra and of Cyactive. The plasma flow is locked at 2 per day in my humble estimation. I don't think you should take more than 2 plasma flow a day because you'll get a sore tum-tum if you do, probably. However, the other ones up to 16 a day, 4 times 4, which a lot of people say, oh, that'll send me broke pretty quickly, to which I say, absolutely, if you're paying for your products. And if you are paying for your Cerule products, that's great, but you don't need to be. Perhaps you could email me at the address, which is wending its way across the bottom of the screen right now. Anyone that wants to know about how to not pay for your Cerule products, because it's not even hard, actually. A dog with a note in its mouth could do it. Ted could do it. In fact, he has. But that's for another day. All right, so that's that one. Before we move on to other questions, let's also deal with news. Right, news number 1. Cerule Hardcore Stem Enhance formulation is available for ordering if you are in Australia or New Zealand. It will go international as soon as people wake up to the fact that Hardcore Carnivore is available in Australia and New Zealand and order it en masse. I'm not saying you shouldn't continue with Stem Enhance Ultra, the standard formulation. If that's working for you and it's, there's no issues with that, then continue with that. If, however, you'd like to either additionally try the Hardcore Carnivore version, or if you've been holding off taking Cerule because, it's not 100% carnivore, well, I've dealt with that for you. It's taken me about 18 months to get the company to come on side with this idea and to put the formulation together that contains no plant materials. None. So there's no excuse anymore. Get it down here. Get it down here. Get it ordered. That way it will become available for everybody. So everybody that's not in New Zealand and Australia, you should poo-poo everyone that is until they order it so that you can get some too. I don't know why they decided that this market was the test market. They just did. Anyway, good on them, Cyril. Thank you for putting it together. And we need to thank Cyril by getting behind it. Okay, because when we do, not only does everybody else in the world get an opportunity to get hardcore carnivore stem enhance, but also we'll do hardcore carnivore Cyactive, and we'll do hardcore carnivore plasma flow, and we'll do collagen peptides as well, hardcore. That's the plan anyway. So there's that. Second bit of news. Should you, should you like to visit us here in the independent sovereign nation of PimBartia over the summer, which ends about the end of March, you should email at the address down there, and we'll talk about that. What we would expect from you is that you'd obviously pay your own airfares if that's required, and you'd arrive at the local place of importation, and we'd come and pick you up, and we would look after you, and we would feed you and point you in the right direction for all the sites and things around outside of PimBartia that you can check out in the Tasman region of New Zealand. And you give us 20 hours a week of farm labour under the direction of Ted, who's a bit of a tough taskmaster, I must say. And we'll feed you and all of that. So it's like a real cheap way of doing a holiday, if you like, and you can enjoy the New Zealand summer a bit. There's some fantastic beaches and things around here. There's all sorts of great nature around here. And also, if you're interested, you might get to learn something about farming a bit, which we're still doing too, by the way. Anyway, there it is. So just email us if that's of interest to you. And if we like the cut of your jib, then we might say, yeah, come on down. Come on down is what we might say. Right, let's deal with questions. For those of you who are new, put a large capital Q in front of your question, a colon, then write your question out in full. Don't use TLAs, they're a PITA. FFS, and suffix the whole thing with a question mark. That way, His Majesty Lord Cedric, Yellow Ted, Edward Yellow, will be able to find your questions much more easily, and he'll be able to, you go down there and twiddle the knobs, Ted. Good boy. Twiddling the knobs is what Ted does here in PimBartia. Somebody fucking has to. That's for another day. Right. Also, if you're not interested in farming, but you do like knob twiddling, send me an email to that effect. There could be a permanent position going, frankly. Right. Questions. Yes. Is PimBartia a tax haven? No, I'm afraid not, Lieutenant General Mark Linford of the Meat Militia. I wish it was. Even I have to pay my taxes to the actual nation in which PimBartia really does exist. And yeah, it's a lot. Tax is a lot. So yes, I wish it was, but it isn't. All right, Flame One. You're lucky that this was seen by Ted because there's no Q and etc. But it says, I still don't understand why chimps eat mainly a glucose fructose diet. Do they? 60 to 80% from fruit, depending on the group. Says who? On the basis of what? If glucose is so toxic, well, it is to human beings, and chimps aren't humans. We're very similar, but we're actually not the same, and we have evolved along different lines, and we have different specialist niches and different diets. Yeah, apparently I have a Zoom meeting starting soon. No, I don't. All right, good. So carrying on from there, if this chat window would stop fuck-assing around. Rightio. Their anatomy is almost identical to ours. So it's not entirely identical, though, is it? with, of course, a lot of differences. Yes, there you go. So, well, that's kind of a strange statement then, isn't it? Almost identical with a lot of differences. Good. Master Chief, would you deal with Flame One, please, in the background? Get him to report to Ted after class. Ted has been soaping up his frogs all week, and he's cut the bottom out of a brand new wetsuit, and he's released the rampant wildebeest. So good. Whatever. Right. Okay. There we go. Look, it's done properly here. A Q. There's no colon though. Struggling after 6 months of carnivore. I was one of those that didn't transition. Tut 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 tut. What do you think about that, Ted? Someone that doesn't transition properly to a carnivore diet. Perhaps a bit more polite though, Ted, would be a good idea. I mean, it's really not necessary for such language, is it? Is it, Ted? Really? I can't do a thing with them, boys and girls. I really can't. Right. Okay. I have brain fog, fatigue, joint pains, and bloating after eating. Currently exploring the lion diet. Any suggestions? Yes. 5 health hacks. There's a video on my channel entitled something along the lines of 5 health hacks that you need to know. Wherein I'm doing this on the thumbnail so that you can see that there are, in fact, 5 health hacks. And also so that you can see the palm of my hand, thus making me much more trustworthy, I'm told. Right. Good to see you, DC. Good to see you. Nice to see you. To see you nice. Good morning. Geez, it must be early where you are. Did you shit the bed or something? Anyway, welcome. Yes, I'm in the house early because why not? Any thoughts on methylene blue? Yes. I tried it for a while because Dr. Sarah Pugh supplied me with some kindly and said, try this and see what you think. It was interesting. I had green urine. I didn't feel any different. I think the jury's out. There is a school of thought that says it's absolutely a great thing and everyone should be into it. And there are others who are going, well, hang on a minute, this, that, and the other thing. What methylene blue basically does is it acts as an additional electron acceptor within the electron transport chain. Is that a good idea? I mean, we've evolved with a number of electron accepting pigments in the electron transport chain for a reason. And there's an energy gap between them for a certain reason, and closing that gap, is that a good idea? I don't know. I'm not saying I do know. I'm quite sure that Dr. Sarah Pugh does know what she's talking about, absolutely. She has recently expanded her horizons into the area of quantum physiology and stuff. She tells me that she uses it mostly when she's doing a lot of flying or, stuff like that, where her mitochondria might be exposed to a situation that's not 100% natural. Whatever. I don't think I would take it as a kind of ongoing daily thing. Yes. No singing. Are we in a mosque? No, we're in the independent sovereign nation of PimBartia, where, actually, as the case turns out, Pim's not here. Because she's not here, we can sing as much as we want to. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Invisible penis. Right, that's enough singing. What do you think, Ted? Was that pretty good? I don't know what to do with them, boys and girls. I think I just need to keep Ted busy twiddling the knobs. Good boy. You carry on. Good boy. Right. Quite serious, by the way, earlier. If someone does want to take up the official duties in PimBartia of the official knob twiddler full-time. It's a two-handed job. Sing out, let us know. Right, what's the next question? I've heard that eating too much protein compared to fat can cause weight gain through gluconeogenesis. That is correct. I think I might be overeating now after losing 200 pounds. Awesome. Great job. Losing 200 pounds is not to be scoffed at. That is a very massive achievement. We congratulate you. So we do. Right. So here's how to work out the correct amount of protein, give or take a little bit, for the average person, give or take. Take your height in meters. Okay, so in my case, I'm 5'6", so my height in meters is 1.68. Yours will differ, of course, unless you are exactly 5'6". Multiply that by itself, so you'll get, usually 3 point something for most people. Unless you're over 2 meters tall, in which case it'll be 4 point something, won't it? Impressive. So then what you do is you multiply that number by the ideal BMI, which I know is an approximation, fine, whatever. That's 22.5, and then you'll get your ideal weight in kilograms. So those of you that think in pounds, get with the program. We don't use freedom units here in PimBartia. We use metric. Or if you like, you can take the number of kilograms and multiply it by 2.2 to get the number of pounds so that you understand. That's fine. Anyway, that's your weight in kilograms. Eat 2 grams of protein per that, the kilograms weight, plus or minus about 10%, and that'll be about right. And the rest of your diet comes from fat. You eat to satiety. You don't really have to measure anything. Once you get an idea of how much protein that is, you don't need to measure that anymore either. It'll become it'll become an easy thing for you. So that's the approach that I would take on that. Where is Pim? She's off doing Pim stuff. Overeating on protein is insanely hard. For most people, Flame One, that's true. Yeah. For most people, it's difficult, especially people who have been on a carnivore diet, relatively clean for a goodly period of time. But someone with a disordered metabolism and with some damage from a lifetime of bad habits actually can overeat on protein. And occasionally it does raise its head. Right. Do you think that viruses exist and cause contagion diseases? YouTube is not a friendly place for people to discuss such things, so I won't. Hello, fellow farmer. Hi. Yes, fellow farmer, sort of. Just getting started, really. Just learning the ropes and the whips and the chains. Also, we have a tractor, which is sitting in the tractor bay, being lonely and sad because nobody here knows how to drive a tractor. I went and sat in the thing the other day. I thought, well, this can't be that hard. I'll see if I can just have a look at the controls and work out what's what. No, there are about 15 different knobs and levers and things. I asked Ted. I said, look, Ted, you're the expert on knob twiddling. No idea. Yeah. So I'll have to get someone to come and teach me how to drive a tractor and then work out what I need to drive a tractor for, other than just because I can. Maybe I could go and make some hay, because we have lots of grass. We don't have enough animals yet. We have 7 adult Anguses, 7 calves from said mothers, all called Angus. We have 7 sheep, 2 lots of 7 ducks, one that's about 2 weeks old and one that's about 10 or 11. 7 baby chickens and 3 goats. which is not 7, is it? Completely wrong. So we need 4 more goats. Otherwise, we're just doing it wrong, and we never really were farmers of 7. Apparently, there's magic in 7s, I'm told. I'm told a lot of things around here, including what my opinion is on most matters. You'd have to eat like 200 grams, which is harder than it looks. The glucose converted is maybe 75 grams, which isn't going to make you fat, to be honest. I'm not sure what the context is there, Flamwire. If you're talking about our friend that asked the question before about protein, you may or may not be right. And where did you get the number 200 grams from? And where did you get the number 75 grams from there? I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying source. Is Ted halal? Do you mean, is he himself halal? Could I eat him? Or does he follow halal practice? In which case, well, the answer to both questions is no. I would say not. Ted could tell you some stories. He really could. Those of you that want to visit PimBartia might be able to ask Ted some questions at various times. He might tell you things. You never know. Right, what's next? What do you think of having some whey protein a day beside my 1 meal a day? I lift weights and I want to build strength. Well, it depends really on whether you need extra protein over and above your 1 meal a day. Most people don't. And when you think about it, even people who are quite large muscularly and quite well developed muscularly, how much muscle mass do they add on a daily basis? So how much do you think you need to eat? And why would you think that just because you have some muscle that you would need significantly more protein than someone who has less, all else being equal? Don't know. Right. Yes. Edward, good to see you, young man. Young man. How's the E. coli and listeria from the raw milk? Yes, I've been consuming quite a bit of raw goat's milk since we've got a goat that's producing milk, and it's being milked on a daily basis, about 3 liters a day. And I'm getting through quite a lot of that in the form of milk, and I'm enjoying that. And the rest is ending up as kefir. And there was even an amount of mozzarella made right here from our very own raw goat's milk, which was quite an impressive thing. It's quite nice, it was. But no, I haven't got E. coli or listeria or grown another head or any of the things that people are told will happen if you drink raw milk at all, actually. It's been great. Okie dokie. Have you watched the debate between Sean Baker and Militant Vegan a few months ago? Which Militant Vegan? Maybe challenge her to a debate. Well, which Militant Vegan is that? And any Militant Vegan that wants to have a go at debating me is welcome to have a crack at it. Let's hope that they have more brain cells than vagina stains, because he really showed himself up very, very badly, didn't he? Still, that was no shock. By the way, people that want to see a reaction to that discussion I had with vagina stains, Richard Burgess, that is, a while back, on Edward Gokey's fine YouTube channel, you will find his reaction to that. And he was even challenging me to a debate, was Edward, which would be fine, but we'll probably agree on most things. The one thing that he was talking about there was that I was referring to an R-squared value of 1 or -1. Now, strictly speaking, there is no such thing as an R-squared value of -1. We all know that. Mathematically, it's impossible. It's kind of a convention that is a minority convention. It's not used often, but it is used by some academics as a way to distinguish between a perfect R-squared value that comes from a positive relationship between variables versus one that comes from a negative relationship. It is a conflation with the Pearson product moment correlation. However, it's useful purely in that regard. Whatever, doesn't matter. But if you want to fight, Edward, perhaps we'll have an MMA cage match, an old decrepit man against Edward. That'd be funny. Right. React to Hench Herbivore's live streams. I have occasionally reacted to Paul from Norwich. Occasionally one of your viewers asks a question and he loses his shit every single time. It's hilarious. Yes, people could have a look at the shorts on my channel. There's one or two examples of Paul doing just that, where he was talking about calories in, calories out at one point. And he said, oh, it's just thermodynamics, isn't it? It's just thermodynamics. And one of my fine viewers said, Paul, could you explain which law of thermodynamics you're talking about and exactly how it applies? And he goes, no, not really. It's just thermodynamics, isn't it? Good. Well done, Paul. Good. Can you react to the Bart versus vegan gains debate? Who? Could who react to that? Could I react to it? I did a victory lap. It was quite a popular video. That guy destroyed VG. That guy, you should invite him. Am I living in a strange new universe? Who are you talking to, Flame One? Goodness gracious. Daniel, I haven't seen you for a while. Where have you been hiding? Are triglycerides elevated in the blood when there is an excess of energy? Possibly. It depends on all sorts of circumstances as to what your metabolism is doing at large in terms of things like adding triglycerides to your blood or removing them from your blood or whatever. It really is quite a complex situation. There's no real simple answer to that. What's next? What do you think the average height would have been of our carnivorous ancestors? No idea. I haven't looked into it, but I would suspect that there is some record of that, because given that they've done nitrogen isotope testing of long bones of human remains, given that they have those long bones or had those long bones, they can probably measure them and tell us what the height of the individuals was likely to have been. Yes. Vlad Nowicki. I've donated blood again 3 days ago and I feel much stronger, better blood flow. Maybe it's also testosterone boost after erections, etc. How can I more feel like that? Any ideas? I don't know. Let's deal with some super chat action. We love us some super chat up in here. We have some Swedish kronor. We do like us some Swedish kronor here. What is your response to the vegan argument about antioxidants and phytonutrients, whatever those are? Right, well, the answer to the first one is that antioxidants are not required from your food directly, because the way to get antioxidant activity of a perfectly sufficient nature is to ground yourself electrically. You also have a suite of antioxidants that you yourself will make. Most of these are protein-based. They are encoded for in your genes, so you don't need food for those. Phytonutrients is just a term meaning nutrients from plants, and there are no required nutrients from plants in human beings at all, not 1 single gram ever. So it's just rubbish. It's theology. There's no science underpinning it whatsoever. Absolutely, you can derive some antioxidants from some plant materials, but why would you? There's no need to do so whatsoever. It's not the natural course of events. All right. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Next question. Uric acid is very low on a carnivore diet. Is that good or bad? It is what it is. Yeah. The level of uric acid in your blood is under the control of your homeostatic mechanisms, pretty much. It seems that a highly elevated level of uric acid is problematic in the case of a person who is inflamed and probably eating a bunch of carbohydrates and things. That's where gout comes from, but not so much in carnivores. Whether a low level is good or bad, hard to know. It is what it is. How's that? Excuse me. I get this excuse me, it's a bit dusty in here. Right. I get this inflammatory question, but can you answer safely around it? Any potential unwanted effects by consuming Bovier? Norway's biggest dairy company apparently have it in all their milk. Yes, and there's a major Australian company that's doing it, and there's also the major dairy company in New Zealand are looking at it. There have been a bunch of people that have clearly decided to boycott any and all companies involved in this practice and all their products and any company they work with as well. At the end of the day, what we have is a product containing things with no long-term safety data. Does this sound familiar? Also, we have a product which is completely, absolutely unnecessary and will not have an effect on the thing that it's designed to have an effect on. Once again, does that sound familiar in any way? Purely on a precautionary principle, I would not go anywhere near either dairy or meat from animals that have been fed that stuff at all. And I would call on all reasonable human beings on principle to also boycott all companies who feed their animals that stuff, who distribute those animal products, including the supermarkets that sell that product. You have to vote with your money, folks, because that's the only thing these people understand. Okay, that's my thoughts on that. 7 a.m. Well, it was a while ago. Now it's a bit after that, isn't it? Just back from the beach. Good, Dave. Just ask your questions once, by the way. Yes, phytonutrients are a scam. Oh, Stephen, good to see you too, mate. Really good to see you. Hope you're well and everything is tickety-boo and stuff up there in good old Blighty. What mechanism or explanation is used to claim that HDL is good or beneficial? Well, the mechanism they use is that HDL is involved in collecting remnants, cholesterol remnants, etc., and delivering those back to the liver for recycling or excretion, as the case may be. The whole premise is based on the idea that cholesterol is bad. Okay, which it isn't. The whole premise is based on the lipid hypothesis, which is false. The whole thing is based on the premise that cholesterol is involved in the development of heart disease cause and effect, which it isn't. So it's nonsense. It's just absolute rubbish. Okie dokie. Yes, that's the other thing we can say about Bovier is that it involves that bloke. Ergo, it's evil because that bloke is pure evil. And at some point, it would be really, really nice if the world at large would recognise that and act accordingly. Cyril is throwing me into a big-time detox. Just started taking it. That's not unheard of. It can occur. Let me know if it's severe, and I'll give you a protocol to lessen the severity of it. If it's just a bit of an inconvenience for a day or two, don't worry about it. That's fine. Yes. There are PIM spies in the chat. That's fine. We have no secrets here. Is LDL not used as an energy source? No, LDL is a transporter for lipids. And are only triglycerides used for energy? No. No, all sorts of fats can be used for energy as well as carbohydrates. And in a situation where both of those are limited, so can proteins. Also alcohol. Not that I'm saying alcohol is a good thing, but all of those things can be used for energy. Once again, just ask your questions once, folks. Right. How can deuterium be eliminated from the body? Well, your body has means to eliminate it. The most common way is that it passes out through the mitochondria, causing a misfire at the time and some inflammation probably, but that gets it gone. Right. Which thing seems more glycative? Alcohol, sugar, smoking, working night shifts. Is there anything we can do to minimize the glycation junk food causes in our lives? Well, which is the most glycative of all of those things is sugar, because glycation is sugar damage, not alcohol damage, not smoking damage, and not working night shifts. Okay? Not that any of those things are good. They're all bad things, and some of them are much worse than sugar, perhaps, depending on how much sugar we're talking about. Is there anything we can do to minimize the glycation junk food causes? Yes. Don't fucking eat it. Right? I'm here to help. What's next? Well, there's no way. If you want to add that at the end as an afterthought. Craziness. All right, Jonathan, good to see you. Hope things are tickety-boo for you as well up there in Blighty, and that it's all going well and stuff. Yes. You say that organ meat, MEAT, is not essential. It is an opinion? ? No, it's a fact. It's not an opinion at all. You do not require organ meats unless you consider the muscles to be an organ, which, strictly speaking, they are, in which case I'm completely wrong, depending on your definition operationally. What I mean is the visceral organs. Do you need to eat any of those whatsoever? The answer is no, not 1 single gram of it ever. Yes, praise to the holy PimBartia. Indeed. Right. Can a sugary food be less glycative in general? Than what? If we eat it before a rigorous workout? Probably not. In the manner of through working out, we will metabolize all the glucose. Good luck metabolizing all the glucose that you consume. Good luck. No, probably not. Should carne eaters be concerned with vitamin A toxicity in eggs and butter via what Gareth Smith said? Well, I invited Gareth Smith a while back to come and talk to me. It's on the Meat Militia YouTube channel, which is listed under the show notes as another channel viewing option if you want. I've got about 4 or 5 YouTube channels, by the way, if people didn't know that, on various different topics, including, well, one's the Meat Militia. There's one where it's all professorial, collar and tie, no swearing. There's this one. There's one that's all about music and guitar playing and singing and stuff. And there's a couple of comedy things there that nobody watches because apparently I'm not funny. All right. Anyway, I invited Gareth Smith to come and talk to us about it. And I gave him an hour and a half to tell us all the reasons why we need to be concerned about vitamin A. And I believe that what he gave us was absolutely fucking nothing whatsoever. Maybe he was off his game that day. I don't know. He did have other things going on as well, and it was quite hard to pin him down for an appointment. Fine. But at the end of the day, he had a shot at explaining it, and I don't think he did, personally. I'm not concerned about it myself. I've never actually seen a bona fide case of vitamin A toxicity in any of my clients, ever. So, no. Do you consider us facultative or obligate carnivores? Obligate is the answer. Obligate. Yes. Next question. What do you feed your chooks? I'm not sure. I'm not doing the chook feeding. They're getting things and stuff and things. I'm sure it's appropriate for chooks. Would protein requirements change if I'm trying to gain muscle? No, not really. Not particularly. No. So Jonathan here is talking about a compound that I've spoken about before. I think we're referring to dichloroacetate there. Dichloroacetate does have an indication, it does have a use, and I would only really suggest it for that specific use personally in a person that presents to me with that indication. I would never prescribe it because I don't prescribe anything. I'm not a medical practitioner. Sometimes, in the right case, I would suggest to a person that in their shoes, I might take some dichloroacetate in this amount for this period of time, whatever that may be. All right. Yes, quite so, Johnny Wong. E. coli isn't necessarily a pathogen. There are beneficial strains, yes. Also, I mean, pathogenesis only occurs when your body's resistance to a thing that would cause pathogenesis is overcome. So, cool. Thunderlord says, you're looking young for someone in their 60s or 70s. Carnivore is really working its charm. 60s or 70s, you say? That's interesting. Yes. All right. David says, 6 stage 4 brain tumors found and given 3 weeks to live in May of 22. Was that you, David? Impressive. Outliving the odds there. What does the medical profession know anyway? Right. Thermodynamics, isn't it? Thermodynamics. Great. Explain the first law of thermodynamics. First of all, quote it for us, Paul, since you're an expert. I don't know. Oh, okay. Well, tell us what it means. I don't know. Lame Norton said. Okay, good. Lame Norton. Spherage, I wouldn't give him the time of day. He's not even a decent human being. I wouldn't bother. Not that Vagina Stains, for example, is a decent human being, but Ferrier is 100 times worse. He's just a nasty, nasty piece of shit. I wouldn't go anywhere near it. Wouldn't bother at all. Right, super chat action. Elma, thank you very much for the Australian dollars. Appreciate those. We can use those to see if we can hire a knob twiddler. That'd be awesome. Gartion, $9.99. Thank you. My girlfriend just got a grade 2 hemorrhoid. She eats mostly carnivore with dairy, cream, milk, and kefir, and the rest macadamias and walnuts. Could the nuts or the dairy or both be the culprit? Yes, they could. It is possible. I can't stand listening to Richard Burgess more than a few seconds. Yeah, I agree. That's why you use the mute button as often as I did, because that was fun. God, that was fun. Should you invest in crypto? Fucked if I know. That's not my area of expertise at all. Here is my victory lap after the Vagina Stains discussion. Yes, agreed, absolutely. I watched your recent Cyril video. Well, that was good. That was good of you to watch that. Good choice. My question is, will it help someone eating a standard American diet? Yes. It will do exactly the same thing for someone eating a standard diet as it does for someone eating any other diet, and that is that our flagship product, Stem Enhance Ultra, will cause your bone marrow to release more of your own adult stem cells to the bloodstream, whereupon they do magics. Awesome. More super chat action. Love it. Greetings from Saudi Arabia. Well, greetings to you, and thank you for the 25 Saudi Arabian rubles? I don't know. I don't know what Saudi Arabian currencies are. Somebody tell me. Right. Don't forget the Q in front of your question, because if Ted's busy twiddling his knobs, then, is there any proven method that actually can help white stretch marks to disappear? Dietary animal fats seems kind of helpful. That's one possible answer. I would suggest there are 5 health hacks that you need to know about and apply, which may or may not be helpful in that regard. It seems to be that it's quite likely that there will be at least some improvement if you follow those 5 health hacks. Look for a video on my channel called 5 Health Hacks You Need to Know About, and you'll probably find it. Righty, what are your opinions on doing yearly carb cycling on a carnivore diet to maintain metabolic flexibility versus consistently adding low carbs? I think that's a fucking stupid idea. I think it's absolutely unscientific in the extreme, completely unnecessary, and I don't think people should do it at all. We have some DKKs, 100 DKKs. Thank you very much for the 100 DKKs. Are they Danish kronors? Or are they something else? I'm not sure. Currently using Cereal products and BPC 157. Cool. Had an abscess removed Thursday and now have an open wound. Okay. Excluding Cyactive to prevent and reduce inflammation to best support healing. Any thoughts? 5 health hacks you need to know about. Thank you for the cash. Appreciate it very much. Juliet, good to see you. Thank you for the $1.99. Formerly vegan friend, now ex-vegan after 3 years. Good. Anytime anybody gives up the whole ridiculous notion of veganity and rejoins the human race to some degree, so much the better. What is the actual harm of cheat meals? Well, it depends on how many you have, how often, and what kind of cheating we're talking about. Also, how many hours to return back to normal after one? At least 72 hours, usually. Neanderthals were almost 100% carnivore. Yes, so were humans. Homo sapiens, that is. And although they were not tall, they were about 50% stronger than we are today. They hunted mammoths. Yes. Some interesting facts for you there, just because why not? Right. Could you please give me your thoughts on melatonin supplements? They can be useful if you're having issues around sleeping. I would not take them long term. They are a short term thing. And if you have issues with sleeping, we need to get to the bottom of that and see if we can sort that out for you. Yeah. So fine, short term. But I think, we need to get to a point where we can encourage your system to behave normally without any assistance. Okie dokie. Correction. Neanderthals were tall. I thought so too, but I wasn't sure. Good. Good stuff from Jonathan there in the background, keeping everybody in line. Good to see. Thoughts on Jeff Nippard? That's a question for Jonathan, apparently. So Jonathan can answer that question. I'm not impressed with him, personally, if anybody wants my opinion. It is great in Blighty. Awesome. Good to hear. Yep. So this is more information on the brain tumor thing. Yep. Their drugs, the allopathic drugs, whatever they gave you, your stem cells, you mean my stem cells, are your stem cells released by you taking Cereal's Stem Enhance product? Is that what you mean? Stem Enhance is great, folks. It really is exactly what it says it is on the tin bottle. It's great. Get it down here. And if you're in Australia or New Zealand, think about ordering some hardcore carnivores so that the company knows that it really is something that carnivores are interested in. Not that it's hugely different from the standard formulation. The differences are the cellulose capsule is bovine gel instead, and the rice starch flow agent is silica instead. 100% carnivore. Well, 100% non-planty, put it that way. All right. If you don't support it, it'll go away for the whole world. And that will be filed as a bad idea that didn't fly. So for goodness sake, get it happening. Jonathan doesn't follow any trainers. Good. I watched Mike Israel for jokes and humor. Right, yeah, because he's an imbecile too. An absolute fucking imbecile is Mike Israel. It's stunning to me the number of people in the world who actually hold doctoral qualifications, PhD level, without the first fucking clue of what they're talking about. And Mike's one of those, as evidenced by his ridiculous, inane, and incorrect views on units of heat energy and their relevance to human metabolism, which is still fucking none, Michael. Still. All right. Good. Right, Vlad. What do you say, Vlad? When you said to do 8 reps for hypertrophy, is it also for push-ups, chin-ups, etc.? Yes. So you'll probably, once you get fit enough, you'll probably need to load those so that you do fatigue within 8 reps. I do mostly weighted calisthenics. Okay, cool. And I do it with the 5-2-5 method, very slow reps. Is it correct? Depends on what you're trying to achieve. I'm a fan of explosive, concentric, and controlled, very, very slow, eccentric. And I'm also a fan of staying the fuck away from isometrics. So there you go. Is it better to rotate your workouts in the long term or to stick to the same exercises and increase weights? Again, it depends on what you're trying to achieve. Yeah, Jonathan, I understand. We're sort of at various times of the year, we're between 11 and 13 hours separate, so it's going to be really inconvenient for one of us. And given that I'm now also a busy farmer, as well as trying to run a YouTube empire and have enough time to support my business of promoting the stem cell nutrition, the cereal business, and all of that, I'm a busy boy, a very busy boy indeed. Greetings to you. You once said, I said it more than once. I say a lot of things quite often because for some reason people don't fucking listen the first time. You said once that we maybe should not stay in ketosis. But how do we do this without plant materials and carbs? Easy. Eat 2 grams of protein per kilo of ideal body mass, as discussed earlier in the stream as to how you work that out, in one meal on a relatively daily basis. If you're eating that day, that'll do it. Good. Alicia and John Glass say, I 12 eggs a day. I eat 12 eggs a day and have for 6 years on top of either New York strip or ribeye. I'm not convinced in any way of vitamin A toxicity. Good. Yes, me neither. As I say, I've never seen a case of it, even in people who are vastly overeating stuff that they probably shouldn't eat a vast amount of, like organs, other than muscle meat, that is. Okie dokie. Questions. I get soreness inside my right knee only after I sprint. It goes away temporarily if and while I am sprinting, and permanently after days. Should I be concerned? Any possible solutions? Really depends on how severe the pain is, whether it's causing you any incapacity of any kind, etc. I would put that in front of someone who specializes in orthopedics, frankly. You should definitely build Ted a tower on the manor property with a sub-basement for breeding frogs. Yes, perhaps I should. Dr. Paul Mason says that sunlight is not required to get vitamin D, just cholesterol, which is produced in the skin when exposed to the sun to create a natural sunscreen. Opinions on this? My understanding is that the most effective way to produce vitamin D is under the influence of ultraviolet light hitting the skin and thus causing a conversion of the precursor to its active form. It is in the same metabolic tree as cholesterol, molecular cholesterol. That's about as much as I can tell you about it. Whether it's necessary or not, can you synthesize vitamin D yourself without ultraviolet light? I don't know. I suspect there is probably a methodology. And if that's not working, then perhaps you'll be able to get your vitamin D from food sources. Yes. Does the lipid profile or the distribution of LDL, HDL, triglycerides have any value or interpretation for a carnivore, or should I completely ignore it? You should completely ignore all of those measurements, whether you are a carnivore or not. They are all completely, utterly, absolutely irrelevant to your prospects in life in any way, shape, or form, unless you are deficient in any of those things. And I wouldn't even look at it unless there is a clear reason to suspect that you are deficient in any of those things for any reason. It's a waste of time, it's a waste of money, it's a waste of effort, and it's based on a theology which is fundamentally, utterly erroneous and false from the ground up. The lipid hypothesis is false. End of discussion. Well, I wish it was, but it clearly isn't still. Thoughts on anti-parasitics as cancer treatment? There is some evidence that they can be useful, potentially, and I'll give you the mechanism that's proposed, if you like. Well, the kind of things you're talking about there, Johnny, are things that tend to block the uptake of the alternate fuel source that many cancer cells will use should sugar be blocked. So if you can block the sugar and the other one, so much the better than just blocking one of them. So there is an indication there. Good-o. Good-o. Are you familiar with the Vegetable Police channel? Yes, I am. He's quite funny, isn't he? Good value for comedy. But I wouldn't take advice from that boy. But not at all. Right. Is it a bad idea in the long term for human health to grill with charcoal? If you ate every single thing you ate was grilled with charcoal all the time, maybe. Nobody really knows. There is some inference around that being potentially problematic at a certain level. It's an individual thing, of course, like everything. Yes. What reasons could someone be having a libido on carnivore after being on the diet for 5 months? You mean having a high libido or a low one? And there are many things that affect somebody's libido. Many things indeed. All right. Why does Cerule advise some products should not be taken with anticoagulants? They no longer do, David. The current line from the Cerule company is that there is no contraindication or negative interaction between Cerule products and any known currently available pharmacological drug. They used to say, well, it's got quite a high dose of vitamin K in it, and as such, it might interact with blood thinners, but they are no longer giving that advice for whatever reason. Okay. Yes, that's probably a good idea, DC. DC is another cancer survivor, by the way, for folks that don't know. So David and DC doing a chat together about survival, cancer survival would be awesome. I'd watch that. Yes. Carb cycling, I assume you mean, is useless when you could just sit down and have a large meal of protein to spike your insulin. Yeah, carbs, we know. Carb cycling is useless, period. Carb cycling is erroneous, stupid, foolish. You shouldn't do it. There is no need whatsoever under any circumstances, whether you're an athlete or not. Besides your eyesight, is there anything else you can share that changed for you by taking Cerule? Yes. Severe fibromyalgia that I had for 5 years, in complete remission, has been now for the best part of 10 years. Gone. A slew of remnants of digestive disorders that I'd had my whole life that got almost better on a carnivore diet, but not entirely better. Pretty much all gone away, including some hemorrhoids that I had, which don't seem to be a problem now. My mental health has improved out of sight, not just through taking the product, but also through making a really useful passive residual income by just telling people that it exists and here's where you get it from. In fact, if any of you are interested in earning residual passive incomes by just telling people that Cerule exists and here's where you get it from, let me know. We have a program for that. We can get you involved. You can earn some coin if you want. It's not even hard. What else? I think that's the main things. It hasn't grown my hair back. Probably never will. It's because I guess my body doesn't see the lack of head hair as a medical issue or anything that needs repairing. So it's not a priority to repair. I'm sure there are other things that have changed too that I can't even think of right now. It's always difficult when you're on the spot, isn't it, to think of things? But there you go. Do you know people who improved their astigmatism, eye floaters, and vision in general on carnivore? Yep, I do. What exactly makes you dislike Spherier? Well, one, he behaves as if he's some kind of intellectual when in fact he's the stupidest motherfucker this side of the black stump just about. Anyone who would sit there and seriously profess that the earth is flat is an imbecile, period. End of discussion. He's known to be an extremist in every way. He used to be the most extreme vegan there was, which also means that he's not worth listening to. He's an imbecile on that one alone. Now he's the most extreme carnivore out there. If you eat cooked meat, you are a fucking slave. You are nothing to do with carnivore. Fuck off, you fucking imbecile, basically. At one point, he thought it was a cool idea to be drinking his girlfriend's menses on camera. Oh, whatever. But, you know, for goodness sake. And allegedly, recently, he attempted to murder his current girlfriend. Whether it's the same one or not, I don't know, and I couldn't give a rat's ass, actually. He's also known to have been a bit stabby at school. A bit stabby. Basically, this is a boy with some severe mental health issues, and I would say, you know, probably someone who could do with being in the care of the appropriate authorities more than actually being a popular YouTuber in any way, shape, or form. So there you go. Is that enough? Magglycinate helps John sleep. Excellent. Master Chief, you'd be more than welcome. Jump on a plane, son. Get down here. Make sure you bring your Meat Militia uniform, because we keep things tickety-boo and ship-shape around here, I can tell you. Don't we, Ted? Ted? Good boy, Ted. You keep doing that. You just keep twiddling the knob. As I said earlier, somebody fucking has to. Right. In the carnivore community, there is some saying there is a cancer that doesn't respond well to carnivore diet. That is prostate cancer, and that may be the only cancer that shouldn't have meat. I disagree entirely. I wonder where that idea has come from and what would underpin such an idea. I would disagree with that entirely. Deborah, thank you very much for the $5. Appreciate it. Can you tell Ted I think he is crushing it over on X? Yeah, I will tell him that. I can't do a thing with him. I keep telling Ted he should probably tone it down a bit. But, you know, whatever. Ted's having a ball. He's saying exactly what he feels. He's using nice short words that most people can understand. And he's quite clear with folks about the fact that they are not as clever as they think they are. So I guess we'll just let him do his thing. Yeah. So if you don't know where to find Ted over there on X, punch in at @HRH_Ted and you'll find him. As I say, though, I disavow everything Ted says over there. Goodness, he's a bit rough. He really is. He's much more direct than I would ever imagine or dare being, frankly. Right. JM says, I'm 4 months into a very low carb diet, I presume, and still having pain in my arthritic knees. It's the symptom that bothers me the most. I ordered Cerule. Do you think it will help? Yes, I do, although I'm not promising that because the FDA won't allow me to. And I also think there are 3 other hacks that you should look at because there are 5 health hacks and you've clearly taken on 2 of those. 3 more. The video is called 5 Health Hacks You Need to Know About or something similar to that. Go and check it out. It's great. All right. The libido question. Right. Correction. Right. What reason could someone be having a low libido on carnivore after 5 months? All sorts of things can cause a low libido. All sorts of things. I've experimented with a small amount of carbs and it's come back, although I don't want to consume any carbs. It sounds like something that you should probably consult about in the background. I do offer consultancies too for folks that are having issues. I don't prescribe anything. I don't give medical advice. I give you a well-educated opinion based on my understanding of physiology. And I tend to say to folks, well, you know what? In your boots, I might do this. Maybe you should get a small yellow teddy bear to twiddle the knobs for you because somebody has to, as I've said. And anyone that wants a permanent position here, that is an experienced knob twiddler, let us know. And also don't forget, if you want to come and visit PimBartia for a farming experience, a bit of work, some free food and accommodation while you probably do other things around visiting this part of New Zealand, which is stunning and beautiful, by the way, let us know and we'll vet you to make sure that you're the sort of folks that we want to be having here in PimBartia. You'll have to get past Ted, basically. So Ted will be asking all the right questions, I'm sure. What mechanism can nuts or omega-3 fatty acids use to increase HDL in the blood? HDL is under the control of your genes, those genes reacting to the environment in which you place them at any given time. I would personally consult. Yes, I would too. Thank you, Jonathan. Well, I would consult with me. And then if I want my opinion, I can tell me what it is. And then it will be somebody else around here telling me what my opinion is instead for once. Right. Good. Sometime next year, Joff. You coming this summer? Because this summer ends up in about March. Otherwise, it'll be sort of, October. Unless you want to come in the winter, which you can, but there'll probably be less going on. What do you think of propranolol? It's a beta blocker here in the UK. I take a low dose for anxiety and panic disorder. If it works for you, fine. I don't think such things long-term are necessarily a good idea, personally. Is 20 milligrams a low dose? Not sure if it's twice a day. Yeah. I would refer all such questions around allopathic medicines to an allopathic medicinal person. Unless you want to ask me about HMG coenzyme A reductase inhibitors, in which case I will give you an opinion on those. All right. Right. Harry Sopanos says that taurine can increase melatonin. Is it true? I'm sure it is if Harry says so. I couldn't find any research papers mentioning that. Ask him. That's not really my area of absolute expertise. Yes, I did get to meet Joff a few weeks ago in Adelaide. It was awesome. And I had the absolute privilege of sitting next to Joff at the dinner as well, which was awesome too. They just brought out these platters, these long platters, and put them down the middle of all the tables. And it was just piles of meat, dishes of butter, and salt. Awesome. They did a perfect job. Right. Oh, and water. That's the other thing they brought out for us. All right. Dr. Mason's point about vitamin D was more so that if you remove seed oils and the like from your diet, the vitamin D issue will become a moot point. Okay, if you say so. I don't know. I didn't listen to that particular video. I don't actually have a lot of time to listen to many videos by many carnivores because, well, I've got even less time than I used to have to do that, actually, now that I'm a busy farmer as well as trying to run my empire here. Just got my Stem Enhance. How much of is bioavailable? It does exactly what it says it does. Basically, there is one available study, which sure is a small-scale study, but whatever. It's a pilot study that gives the indication that the stuff does what it says it does. I think it was N equals 12 from memory, and it showed that the consumption of 2 capsules of Stem Enhance leads to an increase in circulating adult stem cells at peak, which is about 2 hours after consumption, I think it was, of around 25%, which equated to a mean value of around about plus 4.5 million extra stem cells. How's that? Anyway, to get rid of the pain from being a carnivore. What pain? And being stupid enough to put too many carbs down my neck last night. Yep, there's a good way to get rid of the pain of putting too many carbs down your neck. Guess what that is? Don't fucking do it. Yes. Okie dokie. Just want to let you know another friend of mine is switching over to carnivore over 5 to 6 weeks. Good. After they witnessed my own transformation. The truth is in the pudding. Good. Excellent. Yeah. Sorul coins. Cool. What do you think of nutrition scientist and specialist Abby Sharp? Right. Number one, Abby Sharp is not a scientist of any kind at all. Abby Sharp has never done science, has never published science, has never worked as a scientist. Abby Sharp is not a scientist. Neither is she a specialist in any field. She is a registered dietitian, ergo an imbecile. I should qualify that by saying most dietitians are imbeciles. There are 1 or 2 notable exceptions that are not imbeciles, but they are few and far between. Abby Sharp is really the least sharp individual I've come across anywhere on the interwebs for a long time. And that's saying something because there are a lot of people who are very high on my list of first equal. Right. Yes. Husband is underweight. How has CLL? What to do? Try using English. No idea what you're talking about at all there. Are there any additional measures besides the 5 commandments to prevent and cure atherosclerosis? Does aspirin have any utility? Aspirin works as a blood thinner if it's taken daily. which may or may not confer some additional benefit on top of the 5, depending on the needs of that person at that time. It's not on my list of 5 because my list of 5 tends to work pretty well most of the time. Can following a carnivore diet decrease our tolerance for plant-based stuff? I'm not even going to use the word you've used there because those things are not food. And the answer is yes. Absolutely. I recently had a consult with Frank. Why? Why did you do that? Frank Tough Anus, has no training whatever in nutrition, no idea what he's talking about at all, and no background or reason why anyone should take him seriously and take his advice on anything. Why did you do that? He told me to avoid salt as it is indigestible. Well, that's rubbish. I heard similar from another imbecile who we've already spoken about at length today and given far too much attention to already. Is there any merit to this? No, there isn't. Not at all. Not a scrap of it. Hello, Andy. Good to see you. How are stable isotopes tested on? Tested on what? Stable isotopes are tested using a bit of natty kit that costs millions and millions of dollars. Why don't you include meditation in your health hacks? Because it's not in the list of the top 5 most important things as far as I'm concerned. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying absolutely you can if you want. And if it works for you and you think that's great for you, then you go right ahead and fill your boots up. It's not on my top 5 because it's my top 5. Nobody else's. And my top 5 seems to work pretty well for most people under most circumstances. Okay? Yeah, agreed on that one, Dave. Absolutely agreed. Once again, don't use TLAs that are PITA-FFS. Use English. Right. Does the reactive oxygen species released while lifting weights something to be worried about? You mean is it rather than does? Blaze V was saying resistance training just once a week. I know you've said 3 to 4. Which health hack to follow? Goodness gracious me. Goodness gracious me. It's really, really difficult sometimes, folks, to, yeah. I know that English isn't necessarily everybody's first language, but fuck me, seriously. Okay. Is the reactive oxygen species released while lifting a problem? Probably not if you're doing it the way I suggest, the number of times per week for the time frame that I'm talking about. It's probably not a major issue. Which health hack to follow? All 5. Follow all 5 on my list, I would suggest. Yes. Let's say I have been eating the appropriate diet for many years. Okay, let's. Then one day I decided to eat steak and eggs with butter, then Oreo cookies, then cheesecake, milk, etc. Would the Randall cycle activate? Almost certainly yes, for a period of time. And why would you do that? Why would you do that? I've healed my histamine intolerance with a copper protocol. What do you think about minerals? Minerals are important. The exact level required by any given individual is just that, individual, and also based on the circumstances in which that individual places their genes at that time. Right. Do we need salt? Yes. Villemur Stefansson said Inuit didn't eat it. False. They do, because the salt that they need is found in the animals that they eat. Chafee and Steak and Butter Girl don't either. Interesting. I sat down for a meal with both those individuals a few weeks ago in Adelaide. Carney for 6 months and down 32 pounds. Excellent. Good work. Good work. Can too much salt or electrolytes cause cramps too? Yes, it's possible. I take electrolytes in the morning and have salt with all my meals, and my legs feel crampy at night. Get some magnesium, dissolve it in water, put it in a spray bottle, and spray that directly on your legs before you go to bed. Try that. Excuse me. Are omega-3 supplements trash? Cod liver oil? I believe so, yes. I believe both of those things to be a very bad idea indeed. The exact reasons for which are published in a paper that was done by myself and one other about 2018 in the journal Nutrition. I'm the second author on that paper. Go and look it up. It's called Aldehydes Found in Commercially Available Omega-3 Supplements or something like that. Yeah. Really, really toxic, poisonous shit. Polish Mike doesn't take additional salt either. Good for you. What do you think the biggest risk factor for colon cancer, since it is increasing in younger people? Do you think fiber might play a negative role here? Yes, I do think fiber is negative in the human colon at large. The very one. This one. That one. Yeah. The journal is called Nutrition. It was about 2018. You'll find it there. Quite annoying, though. There are 2 typos in that paper. Whatever. They weren't my typos. They were somebody else's. They weren't the other author's typos either. They were typos made by the journal itself. Incredible. Nonetheless, it's a good paper. Yeah. Yes, that's true. What causes LDL particles to be designated as small on an NMR test? I've heard the small, dense can point to metabolic dysfunction. Do we know the mechanism that causes them to become small and dense? Well, an LDL particle starts large and not dense, and it becomes smaller and more dense as it offloads its cargo to the tissues. The idea that there's metabolic dysfunction is just that. It's an idea. It's a hypothesis. And it's one of the things that can occur but isn't a necessity. Or if you don't want to find the paper, there it is. Thanks, Jonathan. It's there. Any critique of Dr. Boz? Yes, I made one some time ago when she made a video that I didn't like, and I said, here's why I didn't like it. Perhaps you'd like to watch it on my channel. Quite so, Jonathan. I did. Good. All righty. We did start a bit early, so it looks like we might be winding up a bit early as well, which is fine. Don't forget, those of you in the New Zealand and Australian markets, that Sarul Hardcore Carnivore is available for your ordering pleasure, and you should do so to ensure that the product is seen by the company as a viable business thing and that they continue to make it available for both you and for others around the world as well. Those who are thinking you might like to visit PimBartia, learn something about farming, give us a bit of labor, and be looked after while you're here in terms of food and accommodation, while you probably do other things around the place as well, send us an email, let us know, and we'll get Ted to check you out as soon as he's finished with the knob twiddling, that is. Other than that, don't forget also that the rules here in PimBartia are no singing unless Pim is not here, which is the case right now, in which case, well, there's a different story then, isn't there? Because Pim's not here, we can sing about invisible peni. Is peni the plural of penises? I think it is. Let's go with it. Invisible penis, invisible penis. If there were two, they'd be invisible peni. No singing. Oh, one more thing to do. We've got one more song to sing, haven't we? We can't finish the live stream without singing the national anthem of the independent sovereign nation of PimBartia. And it goes a little bit something like this. Or not like that at all. In fact, let's try that again. Steak and eggs and steaks. That's what you should have for your breakfast. Delicious. Eggs and steak and eggs. Just making sure you heard. I think they got it, Ted. Excellent, excellent. All right. Join us next time when we'll do questions and answers and stuff. See ya.